Perceptions of awe, the relationships between breathing exercises and experiences of awe seen while observing nature. An exploratory study by Micah Breeden. The reason which I chose to study breathing in awe is because being a person with an anxiety disorder, shallow breathing is something that I struggle with on a regular basis. I was interested in seeing just how much breathing plays a role in our emotional states, and whether altering our breath influences our emotional experience, specifically in terms of awe and wonder. With stress on the rise from global warming, life expenses, and innumerable others, we are looking more and more for inventive ways to better control the way that we experience the world around us. There's a surprising lack of literature regarding relationships between awe and breathing patterns, but there are things that we can infer from the research. Our autonomic respiration is not limited to our cells and organs needing energy to function, but is an attunement with our emotions such as joy, depression, anxiety, and more. Emotions seem to have an effect on the way that we breathe, and conversely, the way that we breathe has an effect on our emotions. Awe is a hard to grasp emotional state, being a mixture of both fear and surprise, the experience of which is considered a pinnacle of sensations that can transfigure a person's life. Experiences of awe allow people to be more altruistic in nature through these self transcendent experiences. Being able to more readily access the emotion of awe may allow us to be more able to unify ourselves as humanity, enabling us to better overcome our petty differences. Using Raymond Jones's definition of awe, it is a direct emotional experience when encountering something incomprehensible and or magnificent in nature. Wonder is defined as an emotion of contemplation, as one grapples with the inability to integrate something within their current mental frameworks. That is to say, their way of looking on to the world while making sense of their reality. Breathing exercises are done in specific ratios for extended lengths of time. This involves the use of the abdominal muscles and the diaphragm. I was interested in whether breathing patterns bring about higher levels of experience, awe, wonder, and focus, with our main attention being of awe. We attempted to manipulate the breathing ratios of individuals in trying to yield these effects. Participants were presented with a slideshow of awe-inspiring nature, with a calming music track. This slideshow included instructions for their respective breathing patterns, between a 10 to 10 exhale to inhale ratio, a 3 to 5 ratio, and a no instruction control. After the slideshow, participants were then surveyed on their experience. The study comprised of 59 individuals, 10 males, 48 females, and one binary individual. Our independent variable was the type of breathing pattern participants underwent, from a 3-second exhale to a 5-second inhale to a 10 to 10 ratio addition. Our dependent variable was the perceived level of awe, focus, and wonder experienced by the individual. Participants were presented with images such as the ones that you see before you, but before which they were to center themselves with their eyes closed, focusing on the way that they breathe, while letting gravity and your natural diaphragm's reflexes to help facilitate breathing. This centering exercise was then followed by instructed breathing exercises. We conducted a Cronbach's alpha test in order to gauge the level of internal reliability of our questions, which yielded a good to excellent level of internal consistency. ANOVA tests are utilized in order to examine the divergence of means between multiple groups. All of our Cronbach's alpha tests came back with a good or excellent level of internal consistency, helping ensure that questions are focusing on the same characteristic. ANOVA tests were utilized in order to examine the divergence of means between multiple groups. In this case, there was three: the baseline, the 10 to 10 ratio, and the 3 to 5 ratio breathing exercise. All the ANOVA tests that were gathered yielded non-significant results. A larger participant pool and an in-person environment will increase our power in order to see a significant effect if one exists. I predicted higher levels of awe, wonder, and focus through the use of the breath, but that doesn't seem to be the case on the surface. There is a lot of ambiguity as to the number of participants who used headphones over the course of the experiment. with over half the participant pool not answering to the question. Not only does this conflict with how we set up the audio, but participants without headphones will naturally be more susceptible to environmental distractions. As you can see from the graphs to the right, our participation rates for individuals were less than optimal to say the least. Participation itself seems to be a confound. Based on the data, the best choice seems to be to have an in-person setup, which will allow for superior control over the environmental conditions and allow for additional information to be gleaned from participants. As the graph shows, viewership declined to stable levels after reaching 40 to 46% after the first 3 minutes have passed, leaving us with a small subset of individuals who actually completed the experiment itself. This subset was unable to be sparsed from the data. This is due to not being able to actually cross-reference YouTube viewership with data collected within the study. There is a significant positive relationship between depression and dysfunctional breathing. Given this information, we can assume that if respiration does not boost one's level of awe, it could at least impede in achieving awe if breathing is dysfunctional. Future research on this topic will allow insight to whether this is the case. In future pursuits, seeing how unreliable our results were with participation of participants, taking inspiration from Philippou and others, it may be fruitful to look into the ratios of breath seen in experiencers of awe. We can then replicate it in order to analyze the effects it has in the relationship between breathing and levels of awe. That is the end of the presentation. I hope you were able to learn something from this. Thank you for watching.